Good morning, everyone. Everybody can hear me fine? So everybody's doing fine, I hope. Excited to get started with Red Hat Summit. So first things first, welcome to today's session about automating the enterprise. So let me kick things off with a quick introduction. So my name is Jan Mikkelbust. I work at Accenture Technology, and I'm part of a team called the Red Hat Strategy and Architecture, which is led by my friend and mentor, Denise Glasscock, who's you can see on the screen and sitting right here. So I'm the EMEA lead for this team, and basically, to put it simply, our team's mission in life here is to act as a global catalyst for evolution and consumption of open source cloud technology within Accenture globally. And as part of the many activities that we do, one of them is to focus on ideation, creation of innovative open source cloud technology solutions. And automation is a really big part of that. And intelligent automation is gaining a lot of space in what we do. So what does it really mean to bring intelligence into the automation equation? What's the value? What are the possibilities? Well, I'm going to leave you to think and ponder about that for a minute and kick things off with a little video.
What's the power of AI?
Thank you.
What if it could put an end to all the mouse clicks and keystrokes and make room for people to create? What if it could close the pay gap between genders by turning bias into equality? What if it could help the blind achieve more by using sound to give them sight? What if it could help cruise ships become more clairvoyant and car makers be more collaborative? What if a single collaboration between humans, birds, and AI could lead to conservation? What's the power of AI? It's infinite. But it has no perspective of its own, no point of view, no purpose, until people put it in motion, turning imagination into reality. Accenture, new, applied now.
So lots of possibilities, it seems, indeed. So that's what we're here to talk about. So first of all, for the sake of the discussion, I'd like to set some taxonomy, so give you some definitions around what is IT automation, what is artificial intelligence. There are many definitions out there, each valid in their own ways, but let me at least propose a definition as how I see these things. So IT automation is the task of coding through software, repetitive tasks or technical procedures that have a specific objective and that potentially require several steps to complete. So that can be anything from simple scripting, so adding a user in a directory, for example, to more advanced services such as provisioning a VM, installing, configuring an application. This is a notion that's not to be confounded with orchestration. So orchestration is a broader concept. So wherein one organizes, structures, coordinates, and automates a series of tasks into a workflow or process, as we say, that can to deliver a service, and that touches, encompasses several systems. So a good example of that is typically, well, bundling a full application stack into a service, so delivering by the click of a button a full application stack, so provisioning your DB, your storage, your network, configuring, installing your OS, middleware application. Artificial intelligence is something I define as a collection of advanced technologies that enable machines to sense, comprehend, act, and learn. So you see everyday applications of AI in your everyday lives, from your car lane park assist, for example, to Google Translate, or typically Spotify that'll generate playlists for you based on what you like to listen to. So that's to set the taxonomy. And to start talking about automation, if we look at the state of automation today, there's a lot of different maturity levels in different enterprises. And I want to introduce some numbers from Accenture Technology Vision. And so for those of you who are not familiar with the Accenture Tech Vision is, it's basically a study that Accenture does every year to identify the key top technology trends that we believe is going to drive and shape the market going forward. And, sorry. So looking at those numbers, 25% of executives state that today they're using some form of intelligent automation and that they're able to drive value from it. But a more concerning number is actually 37% of companies state that they haven't even started to think about intelligent automation. They basically don't really know what it is. They have trouble comprehending the notion. So there can be a lot of reasons for that. Companies not understanding how to reap fully the benefits of these intelligent automation technologies that are out there disrupting the market. And first of all, key notion is automation is really not just about eliminating repetitive tasks. It can do much more than that. So that's really key to understand. Also, when you navigate through the maze of automation, you're going to have to answer a lot of questions, address a lot of key challenges. Typically, where do I start to automate? When do I invest? Can I really trust it to actually run my critical business processes? Can I rely on the data it's going to provide me? So really having an automation strategy, having the right tools, the right constellation of tools, and also having the right talent and skills within your team that allow you to articulate the value of this technology is key. And that's where intelligence comes into play. And as it said in the video, intelligence by itself is not enough. You need humans to educate it, to guide it, to be able to drive the right outcomes. So that's what we're here to talk about today, really. What does it mean to add intelligence into the automation equation? What's the value it can drive, and how can you actually get there? So, taking a look at the state of automation, I think it's undeniable. We can all agree that regardless the state you're in today in your business in terms of automation, regardless how mature you are in that domain, automation has value. Whether it is to optimize your IT operations, increase the speed and delivery of your services, increase productivity, customer satisfaction, etc. It's really something that allows you to free up your workforce from the tedious, menial, everyday, repetitive tasks that they're doing and focus on, well, more value-added tasks for the business, such as experimenting with innovative technologies, for example. Automation is also going to help you improve accuracy. When you have a large IT ecosystem to run, you're going to have tens, hundreds, thousands, if not more, of actions that are going to be repetitive. So it's very important, or automation has proven that it can drive consistent and reliable outcomes for you in your business. It's also something that contributes to strengthen your corporate strategy and governance. Having automation as part of your strategy helps you ensure consistency and compliance within your IT ecosystem. So typically enforcing security policies, anti-affinity rules, performance policies, etc. The list goes on. And finally, it's really also something that's important to have is automation enables you to have, or if you have the right talent on your team, automation will enable to drive the right outcomes. But depending on the different maturity levels that you have, companies are each unique, each have unique contexts. You're not going to find yourself with the same challenges, the same risks. So you're going to have to navigate through a maze of questions, address some key challenges, some key risks. And chief among those is really understanding that automation is not something you do blindly. You don't just go out there and automate anything just for the sake of automating it. That doesn't make sense. And humans are too much still involved in the automation equation. You're going to spend a lot of time actually planning, building out the automation workflows, testing, vetting it, making sure that it actually works for you. And there's a big difference today between an intelligent system and an automated system. An automated system can only do as much as the humans that program it distill into scripts and commands. A good example of that, for example, is the email spam filters that everyone has probably configured at some point or another. That doesn't really work, does it? Also, you're going to have to consider the wide constellation, the wide choice of tools that are out there on the market today. There are a lot of different tools available to you. And with businesses transforming in this digital era, you need to have increasingly agile and flexible tool sets that can adapt to your business needs as fast as required. If you have to rewrite your automation every time there's a new critical business need that comes into play, that's not going to work for you in the long run. You're not going to stay competitive. Also, if you look at the amount of data that are out there today, data is really something I think we can consider as the fuel of the business today, increasingly. So analyzing, correlating, understanding what that data is trying to tell you is something that can be dauntingly or overwhelming for humans. There's just too much. So having the right constellation of tools that allows you to correlate, analyze, drive the right insights, predictions, recommendations from that data is really also key. And finally, it's important to have the right people that understand the cultural shift that comes with it. So people from the right backgrounds that understand the value of automation and understand that you can't any longer work in siloed, monolithic modes as we used to. You need to work in an agile, DevOps type of mode. So automation is really something that's here to stay. If you don't believe in it, it's at your own risk. Not using automation can lead to a number of potential outcomes. So, well, losing credibility, losing customer satisfaction, slower, more costly services, and you're going to end up having to run a complex, heterogeneous IT ecosystem with a large human workforce behind it. So not very efficient, not very effective. So I think it's fair to say, if we conclude around the state of automation, automation is really something that's here to stay. It's proven its worth and value. And again, let me share with you a couple of key numbers from the Accenture Tech Vision survey that really highlight the fact that there's a growing awareness around automation today. 85% of executives state that they're using some form of automation to really transform, optimize their business processes. 43% of execs state that they're using some sort of intelligent automation technology that have allowed them to generate cost savings of more than 15%. So pretty significant number. And finally, we clearly see that there's a trend around increased investment and increased innovation, open source innovation. The players that are really disrupting the market out there are the ones that are embracing these new technologies. So I wanted to share with you this view of the automation continuum, so the different stages, if you will, of automation. So starting with a concept, a term you're all familiar with, I believe, foundation automation. So simple, deterministic automation, so that provides a consistent, repeatable, reusable approach to automate simple day-to-day tasks. So this is about automating anything you do more than once per day. So simple ad hoc automation, if you will. So building a script in whatever language you feel comfortable in to do tasks like I mentioned earlier, adding a user to a directory, adding a firewall entry, delivering a simple notification message. The list is really endless. If you look at the next stage of automation, so robotic automation, so this is about using software to complete repetitive, structured, rule-based tasks to automate your IT and business processes at scale. So using enterprise-ready automation frameworks that are capable of mass automating all these repetitive tasks that you have in your enterprise. This is typically something that's associated with lifecycle configuration management, for example. Using, for example, a software automation tool to mass automate your server patching, using a network automation tool to automate the security compliance of your network ports, et cetera, et cetera. And a good example of that, and something we're announcing actually here this year at Summit, is the SD-WAN capability that Accenture has built. So basically, through a self-care portal, users are able to log in, and by the click of a button, automate the creation of the remote branch software-defined networking configuration leveraging Ansible. So pretty powerful concept. It happens in minutes. FYI, there's a session on Thursday around that if you want to learn more about it. And now we get to the interesting stage, so intelligent automation. So intelligent automation, definition I'll give you is it's a collection of automation technologies that, when put together, spell success. So what does that mean? It basically is about doing old things differently, so reinventing yourself, restructuring old processes, but it's also about doing new things, different things, creating new processes. And getting to that next stage of automation means that you really need to gain a deeper understanding at all times of what's happening in your IT environment. So understanding the correlation of your data center supply chain, all the complexities and all the interdependencies between the different elements that constitute it. It's about leveraging deep analytics and insights to be able to constantly drive the right outcome, ensure that your workloads stay in a perfect equilibrium around compliance, efficiency, and performance. So a good example around that is the AIOP platform that Accenture has built, so the Accenture Intelligent Orchestration Platform. I'll tell you more about it a little later on in the presentation, but just to give you an idea, this platform can drive real-time intelligent placement of your workloads. So like I said, always ensuring that those workloads stay within the desired state at all times. And finally, artificial intelligence, so the last stage of automation as we see it today. So this is really about leveraging the power of artificial intelligence, so using these new disruptive technologies such as neural networks, cognitive computing, machine learning, for example, to really perform tasks at a pace and rate that humans are never able to do. It's about helping humans solve more complex problems, allowing them to analyze those vast amounts of data to drive new or identify new trends, drive new recommendations and predictions, things we never thought were detectable or predictable. And so a really cool example of that and how that can actually help you increase your efficiency is a system called PAWS that the rangers in the Queen Elizabeth National Park in Uganda are using to actually, so the system, uses geocoded data to predict the movement of poachers, where they're going to hit, where they're going to put traps. And thanks to this, it allows them to more efficiently intercept traps, intercepts, and capture poachers. And they've increased their efficiency 12 times. So pretty cool. Another example I'm sure you might have heard of is around what car manufacturers are doing for blind people. So transforming pictures, landscape sceneries into vibrations that are put on glass can be interpreted by blind people so they can get to enjoy the view as well. So limitless possibilities around what you can do with AI. So taking a step back and looking at this continuum, we see that as we move from more simplistic, deterministic, transaction-based automation towards a more judgment, insights-driven automation, intelligence really adds a lot of sophistication to the automation equation. And things that were part of the realm of the imaginary become reality. And so how can you actually, how can you actually get there? How do you become that preemptive, autonomic player, intelligent player, basically? Well, first of all, it's about a key notion, trust. Can I trust my system? So understanding the information, the data that your intelligent system provides you, and understanding how to use that to automate intelligently your enterprise. And so trust is not something that comes cheap. Trust is something that's engendered by accountability and transparency. So understanding why the decisions were made and how they were made, being able to audit the decisions that were made at all times. It's also about fairness, so displaying no bias, no discrimination in the judgment, and it's about honesty as well. So if you need to abide any legal frameworks, that's also key. And let's face it, if you really want to stay an agile and competitive player in the market, if you have a large system, if you have tens of thousands and not hundreds of thousands of actions you need to automate on a regular basis, it's not viable to let humans do that in the long run. You need to start trusting this new technology. You need to let it do it for you so you can focus your task force on other more important jobs. So trust is really a crucial notion. It's about having the right strategy, but the right strategy for you, because each context is unique. There is no one-size-fits-all strategy that's going to work magic for you. You have to understand where automation can drive value in your business context, and that's something Accenture can help you with, and we've done with several clients already. So you don't need to automate everything from the get-go. find really the pilots, the places where it has immediate value, and automate those through a pilot, identify those quick wins to really make the business understand the value. It's also, of course, as I mentioned earlier, about having the right skills, the right talent within your teams. So people who really understand this cultural shift that we see today, people from backgrounds like DevOps, Agile, open source, for example, people who are able to articulate the value of these disruptive technologies to the business. And like I mentioned, as Accenture has already helped a number of clients on their transformation journeys with intelligent automation, I want to share a couple of lessons learned on how to guide you on the path of adoption. So it's really about, first of all, thinking beyond costs. Yes, you're going to have to invest in these new technologies. It's going to cost you something. But intelligence, automation, artificial intelligence is here to stay. It's your coworker of the future, whether you like it or not. It's something we see with the virtual bank assistants, for example, in some countries that already are in place and working exceedingly well. So it's about the primacy of people. You put your workforce first, and you need to understand that your workforce can be repurposed, refocused on more value-added tasks for the business. So drive ideation, creation, innovation. It's also about getting the basics right. So by that I mean using these intelligent systems is one thing, but intelligent by its own is not enough, as it said in the video. So you need to educate your intelligent systems. You need to provide them with business-relevant domain knowledge and context so that they drive the right decisions and outcomes for you. By its own, they have no purpose. And finally, it's about embracing open source innovation. Anybody can innovate. Anybody can embrace new technologies. Don't be afraid to do it. That's my recommendation. The players that are really leading the market today are the ones that are embracing these new disruptive technologies. And just to give you an example, look at all the things that you thought were never going to be possible and that are now part of our everyday lives. More and more of these applications are happening every day. So embrace innovation. That's key to the transformation. So looking at the broader picture in terms of the digital transformation itself, a lot of businesses are struggling with the cultural shift, kind of find themselves in a shock mode, if you will. And that's where intelligent automation plays a big part as well, because it's a key enabler of this digital transformation. It allows you to navigate this cultural shift more easily. And intelligent automation is really something that enables your business to become built for change. Because looking at how businesses are transforming the way they run, operate across all the spectrums of all their facets, intelligent automation is something that, for example, helps you transform the way you deliver software, so the way you deliver additional business value. So it helps you navigate that cultural shift and get you onto the road of transformation. Also, as businesses are becoming increasingly data-driven, as we said before, the data quantities are growing exponentially. You need intelligent automation to help you actually understand, correlate, analyze, aggregate all of those data to drive the right insights, predictions, outcomes, and thus making the right business-critical decisions at the right time. The digital transformation era also induces a lot of new risks. So things like consumer privacy, data transparency, security, of course, responsible use of these new technologies. So intelligent automation, as I said, with the notion of trust being implicitly built in, being inherent to it, allows you to address those challenges. And finally, it's about being disruptive. So intelligent automation is a disruptor in itself, and it's one you need to embrace if you want to transform to become, to stay an agile, competitive player. And with that, I want to take a look at a use case, so around the AIOP platform, as I mentioned earlier. So Accenture Intelligence Orchestration Platform. This is a platform that delivers, so it's an open standards platform that delivers holistic orchestration and automation capabilities for any platform, any cloud, anywhere, basically. And what we've done is we've performed a frictionless integration in between different best-of-breed technology components, so from Red Hat and from some other partners, and to provide you with a capability to run your IT operations in an autonomic way. So it sits there as an independent brain, if you will, on top of your system, managing it for you, keeping your applications in a constant desired state. So this flow you can see here kind of represents, to an extent, what it does. This platform is something you can come and seamlessly integrate in a non-intrusive manner into your ecosystem. It's going to gather, collect loads of data, analyze, process that data, understand the different constraints, the different interdependencies that are between all the elements of your data center supply chain, so from your application all down to your physical layer. And it's going to come up with recommendations in terms of what you need to do. So a recommendation can be, do I need to move my workload to another server? Do I need to resize, reconfigure my workload? So adding CPU, RAM, memory, etc. So it will come up with these recommendations, and you can choose to apply them or not. And that's where the notion of trust comes in. You have the choice to let the system come up with these recommendations, and it's up to you whether you choose to automate directly or not. And once you see the results are proven, the trust is built, you can let it run your operations for you in an autonomic way. So let's look at the far right here. That basically means that this is capable of performing compliance actions in terms of performance, efficiency, cost, and compliance across any type of cloud, any type of legacy system. And this is something that can be applied to application maintenance, for example. And this is something, to give you another example, we've also used to do intelligent placement on top of OpenStack. So for those of you who are familiar with OpenStack, for example, whenever you order an instance, the component called the Nova Scheduler is going to assess which is the best fit, which is the best host to place that instance. It's going to consider a number of criteria, such as availability of hosts, availability of resources, affinity rules, etc. And okay, you order your instance, it's going to place it in a location it deems optimal. And we did the test with our platform to do the same thing, using the insight collected by our platform, gathering additional constraints, factoring in additional elements. We saw that the placement decision was not the same as the one OpenStack provided. So putting in intelligence in the equation, well, drives better, different outcomes than the ones you would have imagined originally. So that's one of the things that AIOP can do for you, among many. So feel free to look me up afterwards if you have questions around AIOP. So with that, I'd like to conclude for now, saying that we really see that analytics and artificial intelligence is really breathing new life into automation technology. We're seeing that it's changing, revolutionizing businesses in ways that we haven't thought possible before. It's allowing humans to really solve complex problems we thought were just parts of our imagination. So it's a clear game changer, if you will, and has proven its results in terms of increasing productivity up to 30–40%. So intelligent automation is a key enabler of the digital transformation. And to close, I'd like to quote Bhaskar Ghosh, our chief group executive, for Accenture Technology, who stated that intelligent automation makes humans and machines more powerful than they would be on their own. Thank you, everyone.